Welcome to Tree Talks, Talks with the Tree Whisperer. Your host, Kevin Lee from KRL Tree Service, brings a lifetime of tree work experience and a solid foundation in botany to every episode. Welcome and enjoy.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Lee, the Tree Whisperer in Calgary. These sessions are going to be called Tree Talks, Talks with the Tree Whisperer. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, where I live, what I've done, where I come from, a little bit about my career and background. We are going to get into a series of tree biology talks. Everything about trees from their top to the bottom, from the leaves and branches, trunk, stems, roots, soil, air, life processes inside, how they move fluids, how they grow, what they do with energy, where it comes from. Endless variety of subjects are open to us in the study of botany I've done in the last few years. I started work as an arborist in Calgary in 1984. I was a young man at that point, and I had had a number of experiences which led to me having an opportunity to start on a tree crew. And I did a year with that tree service here in Calgary. And at that point, I was, in love. And I had sort of found my place in the world. And the work and the reading since that time has never really stopped. The next year, I started my own tree service here in Calgary. And for a few years, I actually worked part-time at the university here on the grounds, pruning a lot of trees, doing a lot of climbing and repair. And we even did some removals, all that sort of thing, the standard recipe of all the things that is tree work. So the years went by. I had the good fortune to stumble into Dr. Alex Shigo's books very early, just about 85, 86 or so. I think it was 86 that Dr. Alex Shigo published his new tree biology. This was a ground-breaking paradigm shift in the way that trees were conceived of and understood, and what later ended up being how they were worked on worldwide. Dr. Alex Shigo, if you ever read about, seen his material, or had the pleasure of meeting the man, was an incredible teacher, and he was a powerful aspect of my early development as an arborist, and led the way to where I have gotten to today. So I started reading Dr. Shigo's books, and they were just eye-opening. I read the new tree biology about 4 times, and as the years went by, in 1990, Dr. Shigo had finished his career with the U.S. Forest Service. He'd done a massive 30-plus year project on decay in trees. And this led to all of his innovations and new ideas. In a sense, Dr. Shigo was the first, let's call him, forensic pathologist of trees, and he would wound trees in creative ways, many of them copied from tree service practices of the day, drilling holes in trees for injections, or bolting and cabling, or just making old-fashioned flush cuts, cutting the branch collar off right at the trunk, sometimes giving the tree a year, 2 or more to recover and let its internal natural processes unfurl. And he would then cut the tree longitudinally, the long axis of the tree. For many years before that, when research was done how things were happening inside trees and how they were rotting and changing, people would just cut discs off the end of logs and try and form a whole picture from that. When the tree, Dr. Shigo's great innovation of cutting the tree longitudinally and revealing exactly what had happened with the extent of the discolored decay and compartmentalization was the term that he came up with. it was groundbreaking. Anyways, Dr. Shigo's work was instrumental in the sea change, literally around the world of how trees are perceived and worked on today. He fought the old school, and his common sense and science carried the day, which is just great news. So I had the opportunity to take a 4-day workshop at Olds, Alberta, in 1990 with Dr. Shigo, and at that point I had digested most of his books, and it was meeting him and speaking with him, walking through the forest, the urban forest of the Olds College campus, and just discussing anything or everything we saw. It was a real affirmation that I had made the right move. I had followed a path that was going to work for me, and aligning my thinking with Dr. Shigo as best in my limited way compared to him. He was a serious botanist, a plant pathologist, and a scientist with something like nearly 300 published, reviewed essays, papers in scientific journals. So anyways, the years rolled, and I kept working. All of that, of course, here in my hometown of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which has a very interesting climate. It's not the kind of place that'll kill you, but it can be very interesting and very rapidly changing. We're right beside the mountains. A famous city near us is called Banff, Banff National Park. And so we have the mountains right beside us. We have a constant weather stream coming from the west over the mountains. We have lots of interruption and interaction with storms from the north. And we also get the rare system coming in from the south. So when these things meet, it can be quite undecided. And interesting things happen, quick and violent snowstorms, rainstorms, extremely windy conditions. Excuse me. That's my constant cup of mint tea that I always have with me these days. Those were just some of the most basic early influences on me. As the years went by, aging occurs, and you're not the young and strong athlete you were once in the trees. So I decided to move on and leave the hard work of tree climbing and pruning behind. And in the last 7 years, I have run a tree health consulting service here in Calgary, putting my knowledge of my decades of hands-on tree work from my tree service together with the last few years of an intense study of botany, plant anatomy, physiology, and the multiple and endless subjects that trees bring up and that are always around them. So those are some of the things we're hoping to do here. I do have some notes. I am not going to read to you, but I'm just going through a little bit of a recipe here that I'm hoping to portray in this first introductory session. I must admit that I'm very new to Zoom and this sort of thing, and this is probably pretty rough work here on this first one. I'm hoping to run a whole series of these. We could do 20 or 30 of them. The list of subjects is great, and perhaps I should just read that off. I do have a short, tea-stained piece of paper here. One thing that's very important to me and that I've learned that is so strong in the life of trees is their three-organ model. All plants have this, and the three-organ model begins with the embryo inside the seed. And we have the root, the stem, and the leaves. And all seeds all seed-bearing plants do have this embryo structure within the seed, protected by the seed coat, a little spaceship almost, ready to sometimes travel a long journey before finding its home. So it's the leaves, the stems, and the roots. Those are the three organs that we'll cover. There are the basic systems of energy attainment. Plants do this with the use of green cells in their leaves that contain the pigment chlorophyll, and that process is called photosynthesis. Later on in all cells, the process is sort of reversed, and we call that respiration, where we have acquired sugar, and that sugar is burned with oxygen, and it produces energy. We will then move on from there, the three-organ model, photosynthesis, respiration, into how fluids are moved. Water nutrients are removed from the soil and drawn up through all parts of the tree. That is called the cohesion tension theory and model of the ascent of sap, which most of the water will leave the tree through the leaves through transpiration. Sugars are made in leaves, but need to get their way all the way to the bottom of the finest roots, tips that are still growing and working and require energy. There's no energy in the soil. It all has to come from the sugars produced in the leaves. So that system is a different set of pipes, and that's called the phloem. So those are some of the main aspects. We have our three-organ model. We have respiration. We have photosynthesis. We have the ascent of sap. We have the movement of sugars called the phloem. And then we want to talk about growth. This is how trees get bigger, higher, wider, and the root system does the same thing. That's called primary growth, and it's performed by organs called meristems. Meristems are select small groups of cells that can constantly divide and yet replenish themselves, constantly making more tissue. Meristems are sort of the magic tissue that allows plants to become what they are, to attain the size they are. To get bigger, you have to make new cells. So you have to have a place where that happens. And the meristems at the root and shoot tips are called the root apical meristem, the ram, and the shoot apical meristem, which is called the sam. The other way that trees get larger is they get thicker and greater in diameter, and that is called secondary growth. This is primarily accomplished underneath the bark by a tissue called the vascular cambium. And the vascular cambium grows all of the wood to the inside and all of the bark tissue to the outside. And the last of the meristematic tissues is called the cork cambium. And it is just underneath the thicker woody part of the cork. And it's another area that grows cells. And what it does is generate, it is the only group of cells that does this. And it's a very specific job that it does. And it just grows the outer bark. So those are the meristems. That's another major topic that we'll be covering in subsequent episodes here. I could go on. There is a lot of material that I've studied through the last few years. We have the epidermis, ground tissue, vascular tissues. All meristems create cells that eventually form into one of those three tissues. There is, we can talk about plant evolution and their history, adaptation, and how old they are, and how we got to where we are today with something like a 400 million year study of plants here on Earth. Inside the trunk is an amazing system of all of the living cells and living tissue. You could say bordered by the living cell walls would be a good way of saying this. This is called the symplast. All living cells in a tree are connected. They touch each other, and they have tiny little holes in their walls, and they can exchange information, fluids, sugar, lots of water can move through there. Even though these tiny holes in the cell walls are at the nano level, at the billionth of a meter size, they still collectively, in their untold numbers, can move a tremendous amount of fluids and energy sugar. So we'll be talking about that. That's a symplast. And outside, the opposite and other system within trees is called the apoplast. The apoplast, the greater apoplast, is bounded by, again, the cell walls. So it is all the tissue outside of living cell walls. For example, moving fluids up through the trunk of the tree, accomplished by the xylem, is done through, that's all dead tissue. The cells are obviously alive when they leave their meristematic origin and find themselves inside, and the latest aspect of the growth ring that's being laid down. Sometimes those vessels, those new cells, are only going to survive for a week. During that time, they go through tremendous changes. Their walls are reinforced on the inside with second and sometimes as many as 3 layers of internal strengthening and very strong walls to be able to put up with the pressures and tensions that are going to happen. Once a cell that's going to be a vessel is fully established and grown completely, a programmed cell death occurs. All of the living inner protoplast of the cell is removed, and we now have this strong hollow tube that connects below and above, and those continue all the way from the root tips right up into the leaves and carry the water through these small but very, very efficient pipes. So that is most of the material we're going to cover. In another remaining session or sessions after I've dealt with my true love, which is some of the things I've just spoken of, especially tree anatomy, we could get into how to grow trees. And this would be the culture of trees, everything we do with them, from choosing your tree in the nursery to picking a proper planting site, how that site should be prepared, how to water your new tree, how to water your mature trees, how to, if the tree needs pruning, if the tree has diseases or insects, how would we deal with that? Many of those things, that's what I call how to grow, and we could deal with a lot of that. This background is not a set from Hollywood or anything like that. It's the clutter and busyness of my office, which is also my library and reading area. And as you can see, there's just a normal clutter of a bibliophile back there. I hope it's not too distracting. My wife was giving me stick that we needed a better background, but I like this one. This is where I'm comfortable. What I'm going to do now, just checking the time, is just do a little overview of how does a tree work. We see trees all day long. The world is a proliferation of trees. 30% of the surface of our planet is landmass, and anywhere on that surface where the conditions are at all possible or there's any water, we will find trees. Trees are the dominant plant growth and tend to occupy forests and all of these, of course, which is made of trees, as you well know. They are the dominant plant material. There are about 73,000 species of trees on Earth. About 600 of that are what we call conifers or evergreens. And estimates of total tree count on the world today, 3 trillion trees. All of those 3 trillion trees, their entire body is made from captured carbon. That's right. So in the process of photosynthesis, tiny holes that we can't see in the bottom of the leaf blade is called stomata. These are like a gate, an opening that is controlled by water pressure. And when the stomata are open during ideal conditions and the tree has enough water to function properly, the stomata are open. carbon dioxide gas and other gases from our atmosphere enter into the leaf, and this is where the carbon is captured. We then have a ray of sunshine hits the leaf, a photon, and that's our source of energy is the photon. We have the captured carbon, we have water, and this magical chemical reaction called photosynthesis occurs, and its byproducts are sugar. And as a waste product, it makes and some water vapor and oxygen. And it was the proliferation of plant material on the surface of the earth some 400 million years ago that finally finished off the oxygenation of our atmosphere and allowing it to be the place we live and love and enjoy today. So anyways, the leaves do all the work. In a sense, the leaves are if it was a business model, sort of a 3-person team, the leaves would be the one that, finally collects the check, the ones that get the cash. I'm referring to cash and using that as a synonym for energy in this example. All the rest of the parts of the tree, its branches, the multiplex structure of the trunk, and a similar situation in the roots, both of those other 2 major systems do incredibly important and essential work. Trees cannot live without their 3-organ model. Take the leaves away, it quickly dies of starvation. Take the roots away, it quickly dies of a complete lack of water. Injure the trunk, which is the major section of plumbing, both up and down, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. When that is damaged, again, we have dysfunction and death. So we have to take care of trees. As tough as they are, the system is delicate and balanced. We have 1 set of leaves, 1 set of branches and trunk, and 1 set of roots. And they grow in harmony, in sync. And you can't have a huge flush of leaves without the necessary and balanced amount of new root growth to supply the water for them. It just couldn't work. And turn that around, we can't have root growth or a proper functioning or healthy root system without it receiving the sugars produced in leaves. Again, most of the traffic and energy storage is in the bulk of branches and especially in the trunk. So that's a little bit on the basic systems. I spoke of meristematic tissues earlier, how plants grow, how trees grow. All of those systems have a lot of interesting detail in them that we get into later. So anyways, that's just an overview of what I was hoping to be as a first episode, an introduction to what's going to be Talks with the Tree Whisperer. That name is not something I really pulled out of a hat. I do like it very much, and it sort of came from the Horse Whisperer, which was, that was a movie, of course, and it's an idea that we all understand. It represents caring, love, understanding, and that's what I've hoped to bring and have brought to trees in Calgary for a long, long time. So that covers most of the material I wanted to do for our introduction here. As I said, I'm pretty green at this, and if you've made it this far, I'm sure the rest of them are going to be more efficient, less coughing. I do apologize for that. We just had a virus, a nasty virus, visit our home last week, and we're just getting over that. But today was the day to do something with these podcasts. So appreciate you being here, and look forward to session number 2. Thank you very much.